Hi, my name is Kim Mirza, and I'm the Graduate Coordinator of the Master's Program in Speech-Language Pathology at the University of Northern Colorado. The purpose of this video is to provide you with an overview of our program and explain our philosophy and how we implement that philosophy on a daily basis. It's not always possible for students to visit programs they might be interested in attending for graduate school. It can be expensive and it doesn't always work with the students' schedules. So hopefully through this video, you'll learn more about the program at UNC, which will help you with your decision making. Our program is constructed in the framework of the clinician researcher model. And what that means to us is while we're working to train very strong clinicians using principles of evidence-based practice, we want our clinicians to appreciate how they use research on a daily basis. We want them to come out of the program with the skills to be good consumers of research and also to use data to drive their clinical decision making. We know that students want to make a difference in the lives of their clients, and we feel it's important that they learn to be lifelong learners and to continue to grow as clinicians throughout their careers. We feel that understanding and using an evidence-based decision-making framework is the best way to impact clients, and so that's our focus of this program. So if you think about research on a daily basis, what does that mean? Well, you can think about it in a clinical setting. So for example, you could think of a lesson plan as a mini research project. You have objectives, and these are like hypotheses. You implement, you collect data, you come out of that therapy room and you look at your data and you say, whoa, I need to make a change. Maybe that was too easy. Maybe it was too hard. Maybe the client didn't respond to my prompts as I expected. Looking at that data in a systematic way is part of research for all clinicians. Being able to consume external research critically so that you can make the right clinical decisions on behalf of your client is also a critical piece of being a speech-language pathologist. So let's take a look at our curriculum, and I'll explain how we build these skills with our students and provide them with myriad of opportunities for learning. This is our master's program plan. And programs throughout the country, when they're ASHA accredited, are faced with challenges of meeting the demands of accreditation and certification while trying to allow students to get through in a timely manner and also develop the skills they need along the way. Most programs are about 2 years in length, and ours is also that way. As you will see here, we have 6 semesters. The program goes year-round, as most programs do, so you will also take courses and have clinical assignments in the summer. What we've done here is put the credit hours in parentheses next to the course number, abbreviation and number, and then also an abbreviated title for the course. The first fall on campus for our first year graduate students is also the last fall on campus for our second year students. So starting right away, we have a wonderful opportunity that we take advantage of. Every incoming graduate student is partnered with a second year graduate student who acts as their peer mentor. What that means is that the second year student will help the first year student with everything from how do I work the copier, where do I get a cup of coffee, as well as everything they need to know about the clinic. So these two are partnered in clinic as well as outside of clinic. So during the clinical experience, the first year student will have only one client with their second year graduate student who is in the advanced clinical experience. And of course, they also have a supervisor. So the first year student learns the ropes through the second year student. The clinic here at UNC is a full community clinic. We provide thousands of patient visits a year. It's here in Gunter Hall, which is where the program is located and all the faculty offices, and where you'll take most of your courses. And it's really a wonderful asset to the program and allows us to more easily connect what's going on in the classroom with the clinic. And because we're a business as well as a training center, there are a lot of opportunities to learn about insurance, billing, and the like. So the paperwork demands are much like a typical work environment, and the second year students can help the first year students learn how to meet those demands. We also have an audiology doctorate program here, which allows us to do a lot of collaborating with them. There are even a few classes that both audiology and SLP students take together. And one of these is the neuro class that you take in the first semester. And it allows you to have the opportunity to get to know the audiology doctoral students before you collaborate with them in the clinic. We also have a 1-credit course in evidence-based practice. And then we also have articulation and phonology, and we start the language disorder series. We take a lifespan approach to this, which means we start with early child language. Then we have language and literacy, school age, adolescent. And then in the fall, before your internships, we have the language and cognition class, which includes aphasia and TBI, etc. So going back to that first semester, every graduate student at UNC takes a research methods class. And we are fortunate to have a course that's taught within our college and is only for our students. And this allows that course to focus on research methods that are most commonly applied in our field. Spring semester, the second year students are now off campus, and we have a number of other courses. We begin a clinical series that has 2 main threads of content in it, and those 2 threads are counseling and application of evidence-based practice. We've chosen to deliver the counseling piece in this method because we've learned that students seem to be able to apply principles of counseling with more experience, so it's a little different than a standalone class. We use 1 textbook across the 3 semesters. In the spring semester, we learn about theories of counseling and what that means for the SLP, how we apply them, what are our boundaries. In that second semester, in that series, we continue with counseling and learning about sharing difficult information and how to handle when someone's upset, things like that. The last semester here, we look at the unique challenges of counseling from a healthcare perspective. So how do we deal with grieving patients, dying patients, etc.? Students also study leadership and mentoring throughout this series, and the idea is that many students, once they graduate, are in the public school environment, and they very quickly are in charge of SLPAs. This can be a little overwhelming if you don't know what those responsibilities are. So students are learning in this second fall semester how to mentor other students with the first year. And they're also learning about evidence-based practice principles here. Students will, over the next 3 semesters from spring, summer, and fall, do a series of clinical outcome studies. And these help students apply principles they're learning in class in real-life situations. So in this first go-round in the spring, the students will have about 3 or 4 clients on their caseload. They're going to take one of those clients and they're going to ask a clinical question. So for example, for a child who is a preschooler and unintelligible, is this method better than this method? They'll look at external research, what it suggests, refine their question, describe their methodology, and actually implement it. So they'll collect data in a relatively short amount of time. The challenge is to try to look at what the data suggest well before the end of the semester so they can then make a change. These projects are written up in a research paper format and presented. The second semester question is expanded upon, and we focus here to include measurement issues, so reliability, inter and intra-rater reliability, as well as different metrics of measuring behaviors. The final semester before internships, another question is asked, but in a more sophisticated way related to generalization. We want our clients to be able to leave us eventually. We want them to take what they've learned with us and apply it in other settings and with other people. So this is an opportunity for the second-year students to engage the first-year students as well. Often those second-year students have first-year students help them with data collection, etc., as they work to answer their clinical question. At the end of the semester, this is written up as a research article, and we have a more formal conference where students present their findings and the first-year students attend. We also have a series of diagnostic courses. And students, again, have a curriculum thread built in where they learn about different types of assessment as they're actually doing diagnostics. We try to handle this with a lifespan framework as well, starting with child speech and language and ending with adult perspectives. In addition, we have a speech and hearing science course and lab. These are taught by both speech, language pathology, and audiology faculty and are taken by the SLP Masters students and audiology doctoral students. We also have motor speech disorders, which includes apraxia, dysarthria, and the like. And I had mentioned the school-age language and literacy course, which is the second in the language series. In the summer, we look at professional issues, including business practices, ethics, and legal issues, voice disorders, including cleft lip and palate, augmentative and alternative communication systems, and we continue the clinical series. We have a little bit of room here if a student is interested in taking electives such as additional sign language, but that's not required. The final semester on campus, we have an adult language and cognition course I mentioned. We have swallowing disorders and fluency and the clinical courses. Most of the clinical placements are on campus in our clinic, but some are also off campus. We have rotations in the public schools, as well as some off-site opportunities in private practice and medical settings. The final semester, students also have the option of taking the doctor audiology cochlear implants class or the audiology practicum if they need hours in that area. Next, we move to internships. One of our philosophies here is that we are training students to enter a profession that has a national level certification, where you're able to work across the lifespan in a variety of settings, from pediatric ICU, private practice, public schools, long-term health, and everything in between. So for that reason, we require students to do 2 internships, one in the public schools and one in a medical setting. If a student really has a love for one over the other, that becomes their primary internship setting. So let's say they are sure they want to be in the public schools. They will do the primary internship, usually in the spring because of the school calendar, and that one will last between 12 to 15 weeks. The public schools have to be at least 8 weeks to meet standards. Summer semester, that student would complete their secondary placement, which would be their medical one, and that one would be much shorter, 8 to 10 weeks. So students get to pick their priorities even for their internship. We also have a number of research opportunities. If a student is interested in doing a thesis, that is an option, and we usually begin that process in the spring semester of the first year. The student will partner with a faculty member on that project so that it's wrapping up around the time they do internships. If students do not choose a thesis option, they do a capstone project here in the spring semester of their second year. This project acts also as a comprehensive examination. This is a culminating experience, pulling together all of the skills from the previous semesters, which helps the students explore a topic of their choosing, such as autism spectrum disorder, if they have a love for that area. They develop a research question, which is approved by their advisor, and they write a paper that is essentially a proposal for research. It has a background section, justification of a question, and the methodology. They do not actually carry out the study, but sometimes we have students who say they wish they would have done a thesis so they could find the answer to their question. Fortunately, some of our students are able to carry out their research project in their future work setting. A couple other things about the program to notice is that we have a cohort model. We have about 26 students in a group. It's full-time. We do not allow students to be part-time. We believe very much in this cohort model where students get to know each other very well and support each other through the program. In our clinic, as I mentioned, we have on-site and off-site experiences. We have a nice continuum between class and clinic. Most of our faculty are also clinicians, and we do a lot of clinical teaching. So many of us will have a couple classes that we teach, and we also get to work with the same students in the clinic. And that provides us with great opportunities to get to know one another on another level and really encourage students as they build their clinical skills. So let's take a look at a couple other things as you're looking at this program. These are reminders here about expectations from ASHA. So if you look here, we see that the following content areas are required by ASHA, and they expect that you've covered this in your coursework. These are usually done at the undergraduate level. Sometimes they're done right before grad school begins at a community college or another venue. We've got statistics, social sciences, which includes psychology or sociology, basic biology, and a chemistry or a physics course. In addition, you should have also had these courses in your undergraduate preparation: oral rehab, basic audiology, and clinical methods. If a student is missing one of these courses through their preparation program, we do offer these in the summer, and some students may need to take one or more of these before they begin their graduate program. Lastly, we want to make sure that you've saved any documentation of your observation hours or any clinical experiences that you've had, and those are typically required before a student starts so that we can get them going on the right track. So I hope this overview of our program helps you with your decision making about graduate programs. If you have any other questions, please go to our website, www.unco.edu, and search for the Speech Language Pathology program. Good luck with your application.